growing a practice and launching a new location is exciting. Whether it's your first practice or your 10th, it is something that you want it to go very well. You want it to be very successful. You want it successful for your patients as well as your team. Dr. Ben Fishbein is known throughout the industry for his dramatic growth. Starting at a single location doing $800,000, he has since grown to over 9 locations, 110 team members, 7 doctors, and annually doing $25 million of production. This 9th location opened in October of 23 and is on its way to do $3 million of production. We're excited to be able to talk to Ben today to hear about his strategies for growth, how he empowers his team, and some of the challenges that he's overcome in doing his own de novos, as well as this latest venture in partnering with Smile Doctors. Ben currently serves as the clinical director of de novos within Smile Doctors, and he's a great resource for all of the de novos that are starting in Smile Doctors this year and next. We look forward to hearing from him as he shares his insight and his knowledge on how we can all improve and be better orthodontists and better business people. If you're growth-minded or you want to hear a great success story, you're in for a real treat today. Welcome to the podcast, Ben. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, Scott.
Always a pleasure speaking with you. I learned so much from you. You're a wealth of knowledge. I'm excited for people to get to know you today. Let's start off real quick. Tell me a little bit about your journey to get into ortho. How did that look?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm from Baltimore. I did my dental school at University of Maryland, and then for ortho, I went to Jacksonville, which is actually where we met. I was in what's called a fellowship program when you were a second year resident. So you were getting out as I was coming in. And we had played basketball one time together. This was many, many years ago, and you probably don't remember, but just so everyone knows, Scott Law is a pretty good basketball player, so people can know that about you.
I was impressed with you. Yeah, I was impressed with you. I think we were playing at a church somewhere.
Oh, you do remember? Okay, all right.
I was like, whoa! All right.
We played in a church. I'm super impressed. You remember that?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you were much better than me. But I I came out of residency and I found a job, and I worked there for 9 months. I knew I wanted to own, so I bought a small practice. That at the time,
How big was it?
It had 6 team members. It was doing it was 2 offices. It was doing about $800,000 in production. And it was in Pensacola, Florida, which is where my wife is from. That's why we went over there. And when I bought it, I met one of my clinical assistants there who we got along really well. Her name is Amanda Floyd, so she's been with me since the beginning, and I just sort of believed in her, and she believed in me, and then together in a span of 7 years, we opened up 6 de novo offices. We renovated and expanded the 2 existing offices we had. So in total, in a 7-year time period, we had 8 offices, 100 team members, 6 doctors. And then in June of 2020, we partnered with Smile Doctors. And then since joining Smile Doctors, we've continued to grow. Our not only our production is up, but we have more doctors now, more team members. And October of last year, we opened our 9th office. That was I'll call it a joint venture with Smile Doctors, a new de novo that we did together.
That's awesome. So give us some juicy numbers. So you went from 800,000, 800,000 one location. You did 6 de novos over a period of several years. What's production?
Today, and again, we've grown since joining Smile Doctors. So, I believe today our production is around 25 million. That's over a span of 9 offices and 7 doctors now. So, that's where we are. And our new de novo is our fastest growing de novo that we've done. So we're really, really proud about that one.
That's fantastic. So,
Mhm.
extremely impressive. So, Ben, we all know you for your humility, your huge growth. So, I'm gonna have to pull this out of you a little bit. So, tell me, when you started out, what was your vision for your practice? What were you wanting to do? What did you want it to look like? Did you have aspirations to go big as you have, or what?
Um, you know, I mean, I am a little bit of a dreamer where, I was always kind of looking at opportunities and looking at areas, and I didn't, really say to myself, "Hey, I want, X number of offices," but I did, kind of in my free time, like drive around and be like, that'd be a really good area. And, the biggest risk we took was the first de novo we did.
Hmm.
And, but then once we did that, I mean, I think our goal was to do $1 million. And I said, okay, if we can do $1 million in our de novo, then that I'll call it a success. And we did two. So that was exciting for us. Or I think that was our first 18 months. We did about 2 million in production, and then from there it was kind of became the question of why not, right? So if you have success with something, and not only financially, but you're creating jobs, and your team members are growing, they're doing better financially, they're getting higher positions, they're getting more responsibility, why not keep growing it?
That's awesome. Talk a little bit about what the changes have needed to be within you, interpersonally, as your leadership skills, in order to take on all that growth, in order to achieve that.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is probably being able to delegate. I mean, I remember when I first started off, like I was still answering the phone for the office, right? I would take some calls. I would call every patient the night before their appointment and let them know, hey, you have an appointment tomorrow, which is probably good. I mean, we should probably get back to some of that stuff because I think it's actually good for marketing and growth. But so learning to delegate, and not just because like I didn't have time for it, but being smart enough to know that there are people better at these jobs than you are. So I've kind of learned like, hey, like I'll call I'm a decent orthodontist. I can do orthodontics. I went to school for that. I know how to do that. But when it comes to these different areas of an orthodontic business, like marketing or financial or management, I realized, those, as much as I thought they were my strong suit, they are not. There are people who are significantly better at that than me, and my time is best spent doing orthodontics.
It's beautiful. So I know that we talk a lot about that on this podcast. We hear from people who are incredible implementers. They have lots of growth in their practice. They do all that. Talk for me how, yeah, you didn't do all the marketing, but Ben, we all know you're a phenomenal marketer. We know that you're a phenomenal operator, that you're a great leader. How do you stay close with that yet delegate it to team members? How does that work? How's that relationship? Because I think a lot of doctors struggle thinking that, oh, if I bring on somebody for marketing, even though the doctor likes it, that they give up all full control, and it'll go in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it's marketing is an extension of the doctor. So yeah, I mean, you could have the best marketing people in the world, the best you can outsource to the best group in the world, but you know, a lot of it depends on what works for that particular doctor, that particular office, and it's not a one size fits all type thing. What marketing for me is going to look different than marketing for, I'll talk about, Dr. Matt Lineberger, right? Like I can't do some of the things he's doing. He's the coolest guy in the world. I am, I have different, he has different strengths than me. I have different strengths than him. So, or you look at Zach Casagrande, right? Like, he's the Invisalign guy. Like that is also not me. I'm more of a brackets wires guy. So I think, find out what you are, and where you can win in the marketplace, and we've played to my strengths and the strengths of our other doctors and our team, and that's really been a community push, because that's where our thing is, just being I mean, we have a couple different strategies, but I think our strength is being really strong in the community.
I love that. That's great. That's solid. Yeah. And it's the way you take care of patients, the way you love people. Beautiful.
Sure.
So
Mhm.
back to the de novos. So you mentioned that you like driving around, looking at opportunities, seeing that. What's your approach to that? Aside from driving around, what are you looking for when you're going to do a de novo?
Well, it's gotten a lot more strategic now doing it with smile doctors, to be to be honest. But a lot of it was, just sort of gut feeling. The research I did on my own was not um, super great relative to how I know that it can be done now. But there were certain areas, and I could see where we're already pulling patients from. Maybe we're getting some patients from that area. We could go to that area, find out if there's any good spots, talk to the dentists in that area, see if they're willing to support us. See what's going on in the community, check out other businesses, schools, stuff like that. So, um, for us, when we were opening, we were just kind of kept pushing it. Like, I'll call it a 30-minute drive. That's a really rough number, but we kind of keep pushing further and further. And now our furthest de novo is about, the one we just opened is about 2.5 hours from our main location. So we've gotten pretty far, and potentially going further, just depending on how we want to do it.
That's great. What are some of those challenges that you've had to overcome as you get further out? Is it buildings, permits, what team members, staffing it, all of that? How have you overcome some of those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, all of it, right? Buildings, permits, team members, travel, contractors, architects, lease, real estate. Thank God for Jason Huggins and Shane Lynch, right? So yeah, I used to do a lot of it myself. I've made a lot of really costly mistakes. I mean, I can give you an example, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I've
let's
made
hear it. That's great. Let's hear it.
sure. Okay, sure. So one real quick example is, I'm like doing the lease, and sure, I'd have like a lawyer review it and whatever, but like, maybe I think some of them I didn't even have a lawyer review to show you how smart I am. But I didn't know there was something called a signing a lease, where like you had to, if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to sell to, or you wanted to eventually sign that lease to somebody, or you're joining a partnership, you're joining Smile Doctors, and they're going to take over the lease. And well, if you don't have that in their contract, guess what? They can ask for whatever they want to get that lease assigned. So I think that was like a $25,000 quick lesson, that's a sentence you should have in your lease, right? I mean, that's one example. I can promise you, I made bigger mistakes than that, but fortunately, now with doing some of these de novos, we have people who know what they're doing when it comes to not only long-term leases and real estate. That would be Jason Huggins, but also dealing with the contractor. So another issue I've had, and I've actually had this happen twice, is I've had to fire a contractor midway through construction. That is not only costly, it's just painful, and it takes a lot of time. So fortunately now, we have somebody, Shane Lynch, who is a professional at that. He's the one who's dealing with the contractor, making sure everything goes according to an actual timeline, not just like begging the contractor, hey, can you please be done by this time, which is what I used to do.
Got it. Got it. I absolutely doing multiple de novos myself. I completely understand the frustration. How was it
Yeah.
when you did your first six with how did you keep things going yet at the same time you had so much focus and attention was necessary for the de novo? How'd you balance all that?
Yeah, well, like, thank God for Amanda Floyd and Brittany Sabota and April Meller and all these great people I have on my uh, team at Fishbein Orthodontics, who really kept laser focused, not just on the de novo, but on everything else we had going on. It is sometimes easy to lose focus when you're opening a new office. You're so focused on that, and you can't just let the other one fail. You have to keep growing that too. So we've had fortunately, we've had really good marketing people, Eliza Ray, Hannah Yui, Sarah Javier, Chelsea, and we've been able to sort of split up their duties where some of them will be focused on, or one of them will be focused on a new de novo, where the other ones are focused on different offices. So we've been able to sort of, we got to a size where we were big enough where we could, sort of divide and conquer.
Yep. You've done such a great job. That's one of the things I'm most impressed with your organization is how you have established people, their roles, and allowed them to grow in those roles. It is something to behold. I know you do Fishbein Fundamentals. And how many doctors have you had through Fishbein Fundamentals?
As of last year, it was over 500. I don't know what it is now. It's sort of Amanda Floyd's brainchild. I just get to attend now, but yeah, that's been super. We've met a lot of people. We've had Smile Doctors sponsored. They sponsored last time, so I think that's great interaction for the attendees to get to see, like, hey, these Smile Doctors or whatever, these OSOs aren't big and scary. They're just a normal, they're normal people, normal practice, hopefully really good practice. And a lot of the attendees who have joined Fishbein Fund or who have attended Fishbein Fundamentals, first of all, they'll grow a lot, and then they end up partnering with Small Doctors because they get too big. So I always let people know that, like, look, you're gonna get really big, and then you're gonna partner with Small Doctors or whatever. So that we see that a lot.
That seems to be a pattern like that. And what was your choice behind partnering with Smile Doctors? You reached a point, and then what was the decision factor there for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, it's like you said, we reached a point, and I kind of had taken it. I felt as far and as big as I could, without maybe having a heart attack. So that's good, and it would keep my health. And then this was in 2020, plus all when all the COVID stuff was going on. And the bigger you get when you're a single owner, and I'm sure you can recognize this because you had prior to Small Doctors, I know you had a huge single owner practice. It weighs on you. I mean, everybody on payroll and everything you're responsible for, and you really are holding all your chips in one basket, and that can be that can be scary. It can be great, but so that's sort of why we talked to Smile Doctors and eventually partnered.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. It made a lot of sense for me to where I know after I joined, we formed, and I was able to take some chips off the table. I was able to pay off debt, get rid of a bunch of stresses that I didn't even realize I was carrying. I think I carried a lot of that burden of the team and what I owed them, that I wanted them to always have a job, even if I got hit by a bus, that if something were to occur, their families would be taken care of. And so that was a big motivation for me. And I see that with people who, just like you, who are running large organizations, large setups. They find that similar.
Yeah, for sure.
So Ben, currently you are the clinical director of de novos for Smile Doctors. Given all of your experience in opening de novos, and so many people have come to you for advice on how to do their own all throughout the industry. We see this as a huge opportunity to capitalize, as you said earlier, to really leverage strengths that we have within our organization. You are an incredible strength and have tons of experience in opening de novos. How has this de novo for you? Is this your seventh? What ninth? I don't know. What number is this?
Oh,
How has that gone?
This is our ninth office, but seventh de novo.
Okay.
So you said that right. It's gone very well. So we've had a team dedicated from Smile Doctors helping us open this. And, we've got to work with Virginia Height, who's just an absolute gem, just such a pleasure to work with. We've had, like I mentioned, Jason Huggins on the real estate side. We've had Shane Lynch on the construction side. David Nolan, overseeing everything. So, and then we have our team. We have, Amanda Floyd, Brittany, and it's all one big team. But between help from locally and help from our small doctors leaders, it's been really great. So this office, it is the one office where I didn't have to yell at a contractor, so that was fun. Glad Shane got to do that for me. But we ran on time. We also had our largest, I would say, our fastest growth out of any de novo we've ever done. So this is our seventh de novo, and it's been our fastest one.
Tell us a little
We
bit
are
about
on.
that. Yeah, we want to hear some
Sure.
numbers.
Yeah. Okay, so we had a goal of so all of our I'll speak not only about my de novo but all the de novos that we've opened, if not in small doctors, if that's okay. So they all roughly have a goal of doing about $1 million. Some a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on we're looking at the doctor, the area, and the population, all that. And proud to say every de novo we've opened is on pace, to not only hit that goal, but some of them to double or more of that goal. So we had a goal in our new Panama City office of doing about $1.5 million in our first year. We accomplished that in our first 5.5 months, and so now we're on pace to do about $3 million in our first year in Panama City, our de novo that we opened in October of last year.
Wow.
And I would like to say that is the fastest growing de novo in small doctors, but unfortunately, I cannot say that right now. Zach Casagrande's got me beat. And a crazy stat about Zach's is he's got 2 de novos open now. Between the 2 of them in the first year, he's going to do close, I think, to about $5 million, which is absolutely nuts. I'm not going to let him beat me though, so I'm gonna keep pushing. So whatever his top de novo does, I'm gonna beat him. We've got VJ Bagia he'll do over $1.5 million his first year. Matt Leinberger's done in his first 6 days or 7 days or so. He did $100,000 in production. So a lot of success seen so far. We've got a lot of really cool ones in the pipeline. BJ's got another one. Doug Shaw's got one on the way. I just saw some photos of Amanda Gallagher's or some, some sketches of what Amanda Gallagher's office is going to look like. And I'd like to Airbnb that and stay there because it looks, nicer than like maybe the nicest office I've ever seen. That's going to be special. But one I'm really excited about, and one you know very well, is we have our first non-affiliate doctor opening at de novo that is going to be actually in right by your home base in Harker Heights, and that's Dr. Josh Adcox. So we are super excited for him, and he found a great opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. I know Josh is so he joined Smile Doctors as an associate doctor out of residency. And so I love that. Talk a little bit about that opportunity. Who can do a de novo within Smile Doctors? How does that program kind of look? How does this kind of a joint venture, how's that structured?
Sure. So without getting into too many details, there's no hard and fast rule of who can do it and who cannot do it. We've talked about putting those out there. We've decided not to, but so we want to evaluate every situation on its own. Doesn't mean that we won't put out rules on who can and who can't. I think eventually we'll need to do that. Mm-hmm. So it's open to anybody. If you have interest in it, please reach out to me or Virginia Height, and we'll have a conversation to see if it's something that will work for you. My job is, one of my roles I see is making sure the doctor doesn't fail. It is an investment for the doctor. So, they are putting up an investment that is a split. And there's, numbers I won't go into, but there's a split basically between, Smile Doctors as a parent company and that doctor who's making that investment. The profits are split. And then, in a number of years, you get to sell that office to smile doctors for a multiple of EBITDA. So it's a great um, opportunity if you'd like to make an investment in yourself and smile doctors. And it's a great opportunity for smile doctors, equity holders, because these practices are doing really, really well. So I think it's a, Jay talks about, right, the three green lights, win, 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 and it's a win for the doctor who's investing. It's certainly a win for our equity holders, and really it's a win for the patients who are now we're serving a new area, and our team who has more growth
Yeah,
opportunity.
I couldn't agree more. I know a lot of people join Smile Doctors like yourself, like some of these other growth-minded orthodontists who have built practices, built multiple practices, and they have that entrepreneur itch, and they want to continue to do so. And I see that as a great opportunity. I also see some of these residents. I mean, what would you describe that? Them coming out of school and all the headwinds that they face to open on their own. How would you have felt? How would it have been different for you coming out of residency to be able to do a de novo with someone who could have saved you? Oh man, all these mistakes and years of trial and error.
Yeah, I mean, and when you say mistakes, very, very costly mistakes. And one thing to address, and I'm sure you're aware of this. The cost to open up a de novo right now versus the cost to open up a de novo even just as short as 5 years ago. And people say this is not true, but I'm going to say it has doubled for me. For the way I like to do it, it has cost me almost double to open de novo. So there is a large expense to it, and it is nice having a partner not only, you know, um, give you the strategies needed to be successful, but to take on some of that burden with you. So when you look at, I always, whenever I make an investment, right, and I'm sure you're the same way, you look at risk reward. And, sure, listen, if you do everything on your own and you open a bunch of offices on your own and they're crazy successful and you feel comfortable going, 5, 10, 15, $20 million in debt doing that, like, hey, like, good for you. Like, that's amazing if you got the stomach lining to do it. But, if you want to take away some of that risk, but still, have a nice reward, I mean, I think this is a super great opportunity.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So recently we had our all doctor meeting and where we all got together. I think there was over 300 people. It was phenomenal. And you were able to give a presentation on de novos. How was that received? What did the doctors and the partner doctors think of that?
Yeah, it was awesome. I not only got approached by, I guess the PE company was there, so they had a lot of questions about it for me. That was neat because I don't usually get to talk to those guys. But we had, we've been doing this de novo program for I would say about a year and a half officially, even though we've talked that much longer. But we've had more interest since that talk than we've had in the past year and a half. So that's been fantastic because we are looking for um, more doctors who want to do this. Um, and when I did the presentation, I thought, okay, I'm going to show some production numbers, and people are going to be, that's going to be the big shock to everybody. Like, look how good we're doing. Like, we're doing, $2-3 million in all these de novos, and that's what people are going to be really impressed with. But that's not what I found. I One of the slides I showed our schedule on day one of opening a de novo with smile doctors, right? And on day one, we not only had 32 new patients scheduled, we had a total of 82 patients. So we had 50 existing and 32 new. And that's what people really went wow on. Like, wow, you're able to, start a brand new practice and have that many patients on day one. Um, and it just goes to show you, how strong you can do a de novo when you already have, some existing offices around you. You have the right marketing strategy, and the right people in place. And that's what people really liked. And well, some people might say, oh, well, aren't you, maybe cannibalizing from some of your other offices if you have that many existing patients? And the answer is yes. You are doing some cannibalization, but you're also creating a lot of synergy. So if you have multiple offices in the same region, when somebody's deciding what orthodontist to go to, well, hey, Fishbein's got offices. I can go to Crestview, I can go to Niceville, I can go to Panama City. I'm going to choose that office because I have those options. I might work in over here, but I might live over here, so I can go to either office. So that was exciting to present. Thank you for that opportunity and to be able to show the success of our de novo program.
I love it. Again, Ben, it's so valuable to the value you're creating within Smile Doctors, with all of us, as partners, as shareholders, bringing this expertise and really showing all of us how to do it better and faster. It is amazing. So I really want to thank you for that. And your impact on this industry has been immense. 500 doctors coming through your office and taking back home all the leadership skills and all of the example from the team who presents. I've attended Fishbein Fundamentals. I've seen it. I've seen how you empower all of your team to present and to own their role and their responsibility. And I hear doctors go back home with that mindset. I think that's probably the most powerful thing that they take away. I mean, they learn incredible techniques. They see all these things, but what we talk about is that level of leadership to go home and implement. And they leave empowered in that way. I think it's just phenomenal. So what you've done, what you've built, I am continuing what you've done and what you've built. I'm just so impressed, and just continue to be even more impressed as you go. You're an awesome leader and a great example for me. Thank you, brother. Tell me a little. So last question. What are Smile Doctors' plans for de novo for this year and for next? You know what's on the horizon?
I can talk about some of it, but I mean, just generally speaking, we want to open more. We've seen success with it, and you know, not only production success, but we're being able to create more jobs, create better opportunities for our team members, and also let our doctors really show their entrepreneurial spirit by opening more offices, which is something a lot of our doctors like to do. And one of the new things, like we talked about, we have Dr. Josh Adcox opening an office. That's one I'm personally just very excited about. I'm just so pumped for that guy. I know you know him better than anybody. So we're looking for more, I guess what I would call non-affiliate. It's wrong word. You'll say it better than me, but doctors who didn't partner with Smile Doctors, they maybe joined as an associate, now opening offices with Smile Doctors. I think that's sort of our next wave here, because we think we'd really like to prove sort of that model as well.
Totally agree. I think we want to create, in all situations, value for everyone, and especially these docs who come and join Smile Doctors without a practice to
right.
First. Yeah, we want them also. It's a win-win-win, as you quoted Jay in saying. He says it all the time. That's fantastic. I think the plans are, is it 15 to 20 de novos this year and maybe double next year? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, that things get delayed. Obviously, that's I think where Jay's comfort level is with it. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but yeah, I mean, I don't see why if we're getting some of these offices just in their first year producing $2-3 million. Like I said, when I was opening offices, I always go back to why not? I mean, everyone's winning, so.
I think so. That's a pretty great ROI. Yeah. Awesome.
There you go.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ben. Thank you for your leadership and leading us forward in this endeavor. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.